Well, at the moment, this is one of the pictures in the series that you can see up there that you're going to film in a minute. But at the moment, I'm trying to get this one finished. It's the story about a miller and a caterpillar. And they're both very lonely. The miller is very lonely and wants a friend. But I have shown in these pictures that actually, like the rest of us, he has got lots of friends around him already, but he ignores them. There's birds and squirrels and chickens, all sorts of things, but he wants a special friend. Anyway, this caterpillar comes into the picture. Just a minute, I'm looking for something. Into the story. And the caterpillar's very lonely as well. But he gets ever so irritated with this caterpillar. You're always in the way, you don't help me, you don't do anything, and I'm fed up with you, and I'm actually going to leave. I'm going to go around the world and I'm going to find a proper friend because you're no use. Can you see the caterpillar? Can you see him? I've had to make him a bit too big, otherwise he completely disappear. Well, anyway, and that light is supposed to be coming from a window somewhere. Anyway, he says he's going, and in the next picture, which I haven't even started, he leaves, and the caterpillar cries, and he's ever so upset, but then he gets ever so tired, really, really tired, this caterpillar, and he goes to sleep, because of course, you know, like caterpillars do. And what I'm going to do, I did think of putting him in a chrysalis, like caterpillars do, but I changed my mind. What I'm going to do, the text of the next picture, this side, which is the right-hand side, it divides down there. He disappears, clears off, and he leaves the caterpillar behind, and the text is on this side. And I'm going to do a very small picture of the caterpillar at the top, in the middle, and at the bottom. At the top, he's looking out of the window, the caterpillar, at the miller disappearing. They're called vignettes, and then in the middle, a caterpillar's crying with great big tears coming down. And at the bottom, he goes to sleep like caterpillars do. And I was going to draw a chrysalis, but then I thought, no, we'll make it really funny. And we'll make a pillow. We'll make a nice pillow like cats or dogs have, and he goes to sleep on the pillow, and meanwhile he's disappeared. That's as far as I've got.
But I'd like to ask you though, have you always used the same painting materials that you've... Oh.
No. When I was at art school, we used something called gouache paint, which was in tubes, or watercolour. But gouache paint is very expensive and it goes hard. And I don't know when I started using... Oh, I used to use Caran d'Ache as the background. And very gradually, I decided that I didn't really want to use the gouache as well. And I got rid of it, because I've got baskets and baskets of these tubes of gouache, and they go all hard. And they're ever so expensive. They're £3 and £4 a tube. And so I use these crayons, which I've learned to control very well, and you use every single bit of it, and it's much cheaper, and I think the colours actually are much richer, and I've got to know them, and there's far more variety in these colours than in watercolours. And of course some of these reviewers in these clever magazines, they say, oh, another picture book by Bernadette Watts with watercolours. But I never say anything, but they're not watercolours at all.
Well, maybe you should.
No, I'm not going to, because they all seem to know best, and I just don't want to have anything to do with any of them. I just want to do my own thing. As Tom Petty said, I won't back down.
No.
There's that bit. Now, I think that bit better be a little bit darker.
Now, I don't know what you think, but I think this is your best book.
But you always say that because you're biased.
Well, it is. And it's your most detailed book. Do you think it is?
Well, I always try to make it detailed. But people like the detail. This book I first did this book when I was very young, when I was about 24, in 1968.
It's taking you a long time to finish it, Ginger, isn't it?
No, I was living in London in a cellar with almost no window. I'd done one book for Noord-Zuid-Verlag, Red Riding Hood, and Dimitri said, "Hey kid, can you write your own stories?" "Oh yes," I said, "I can write a story any day." So I came back to London and I wrote Hans Müllermann and I did the pictures, but I used to do the pictures ever so quick, you know, as fast as I could, because I always wanted to go out to see my friends or go out for a drink or go out buying clothes. And then I used to catch the train from Victoria Station and deliver them to Switzerland because there was no DHL. And then I used to stay in Münchshalter for a couple of days and come back again. Anyway, I delivered all these pictures for Hans Müllermann and the story, and it was published in 1969. It was very well received. And then it all disappeared. About 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it was no longer in print. And some time ago, I looked at this book and I thought, oh, I can do this better now. But I thought the story was good, but I thought I could improve on these pictures. And so I started again. This was the first one. This one took me ages and ages, and I still haven't quite finished. I've got to put some more, this is called the front end paper. There's no words on it, it opens out. I've got to do some more work on that mountain, and I've got to do these hedges, and I've tried to make it very childlike, but very unreal in a way. This is supposed to be a young cornfield, the young corn coming up, you know, like it does. And that's a hare. Then we go into the book and we come, you always have to do 12 pictures, what are called 12 spreads. Oh, I've got my head in the way now.
That's okay.
This is the title page, that's where the copyright and all that bump goes. That divides, that's the title, and it was, we hope, it will say Noord-Zuid-Verlag down there, we hope. And this is where he lives. You see, and he's got some little friends. He's got a little bird that wants to be friends, but somehow a caterpillar comes in. There's the caterpillar.
I didn't notice that before.
Oh, but you've got to use your eyes, you see, Ginger. You've got to, well, maybe I ought to put some more shadow underneath. And he goes along to this chair, and he gets on, he climbs up.
Is that Van Gogh's chair?
Yes.
That's copied from?
And it goes onto his hat. Now, Van Gogh is my favourite artist, so I did a little wink, and I've copied, not copied, but been inspired by a lot of his things. Inspired by a picture he made of somebody's work boots, inspired by his chair, inspired by his colours. You go on and you come to the first picture. Ooh, that's the story. It is called Spread 1. Don't have to read it all. And he hears a bird in the tree, and he says how lonely he hasn't got any friends, and he's really sorry for himself. But you see, there are actually quite a lot of friends for him. I found it extremely difficult to draw the windmill. I kept doing a picture with the windmill in the middle of the page, but I couldn't make it sit properly. I couldn't make it with any surroundings. So I thought, oh, blow that, forget it, and just draw a little bit of the windmill. So that's what I've done. And he's got his garden, he's got his vegetables, but I've already drawn the path where he will go into the future. He goes to bed one night. Now, this isn't finished. I put Van Gogh's chair in again, Van Gogh's boots, and I also did, in a funny sort of way, a little bit of Van Gogh's sunflowers.
Oh, I didn't
but you
notice that
wouldn't
either.
really know. The only people who would know were people who knew Van Gogh's work and say, oh look, she's copied that or she's been inspired by that. You see, everybody is inspired by somebody. And there's the caterpillar resting on the chair. I think I've got to make him a bit more furry than that.
I didn't notice him either.
Well, you have to look.
That's a good thing about your books. You do. It's not thing to rush through, is it?
Yeah.
Like a lot of modern trash children's
Well, anyway,
books.
it comes to the autumn, and all the corn has been brought in. I did try to draw the inside of the mill with all the machinery, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't get it right. So I thought, don't draw what you don't know. So I just drew the sacks of all the flour that he's milled. And all these naughty birds and these naughty mice are making havoc. And they're stealing it into their own little bags, you know, because they like that in my books. And one of them's burst open. That's not finished. I've got to paint him and this, but he's got a sandwich there for his dinner, and I've got those 3 mice looking at the sandwich. There's his hat again. Now the next picture I've just been talking about, when the caterpillar is very upset and then goes to sleep and he disappears. Then, these aren't coloured yet, because I like to do part of a picture, then I get a bit fed up with it and I go and start something else. Or I might do a bit of cooking, or I might go out, or I might go for a walk, or I might start a new picture. Now, it's winter. These sheep will be in the snow, and over here will be a bit of a landscape with all the snow coming down, and he asks one of the snowflakes if he'll be his friend, and the snowflake says, no, I can't possibly be your friend because I'm going to melt in a minute. So he goes on and it becomes spring, and this will all be colourful and spring-like, and he sees a violet and he asks the violet to be his friend, but the sun is very, very hot and it melts and violet disappears, so he's no use either. And the next picture, which I haven't done any more really, is the summer picture with the fox, and the fox runs away. And the next picture is autumn, which is the wind, and he says and I'm going to do clouds here racing across the sky, and he says to the wind, will you be my friend and travel with me? And the wind says, I've got my work to do. I have to blow the clouds, I have to blow the ships across the sea, and I have to blow the sails on windmills. He said, and you've got a job to do. I think you better go home and get on with it. And that's as far as I've got. And there's 4 or 5 more pictures to do.
So when do you think you'll be finished?
End of January.
Well, that's good, isn't it? That's good.
I hope so. I hope it's all right. I hope Hervey likes it. I haven't told him about it yet. But I think it's better than the original I did in 1968.
Well, but I think this is better. But your original 60s work has a certain sort of character about it, like Little Red Riding Hood. I mean, yes. You couldn't really redo Little Red Riding Hood, no, would you? No, it would be completely different.
This is something else. Before you start a picture book, while you're writing it or thinking about it, you have to do a lot of research. Go out with your sketchbook and draw things. I mean, this summer I've been drawing clouds a lot of clouds, which is very interesting. Or you can go to museums and art galleries and look at things. Or you can look at books. And I want to know about windmills, so I had to do a lot about windmills. And then I found this little booklet called Old Farm Tools, and I found a lot of very interesting things that I could use. And then eventually I did find a windmill, and I went out, and this is a view from my car, and I realised how the countryside rolls, and I got a windmill. But when I tried to put the windmill in the finished pictures, it wouldn't work. And I also drew some birds that were flying about. And when you're drawing in your car, and then I did some rough sketches of what I might put in the book. I think that might be as far as I got. And then I drew some sheep. Anyway, that's that. And then of course I thought of Van Gogh's chair. And I've got this lovely book, which my boy got for me, of his chair. And I copied it several times. And people who know about Van Gogh will know that I've done that. And I look at this book a great deal, and it's really informative, you see. It's a lovely, lovely book. That's what you do, and then you make them your own into that. Then when you're doing these 12 pictures, you have to hold them. All 12 pictures must be held in your head at the same time. It's like a composer writing a symphony. It's got all different instruments, but he's got to hold it all together. You don't just do one picture. You've got to remember in your head what came before, what's coming next, what's coming at the end, and they all have to marry, and they have to continue, but they mustn't continue in a boring way. Each picture must have its own character and be different, like an interior or an exterior, but they've got to go together. And I think that is actually the most difficult thing to do.